weddings. It could be a lot of fun, and I hope everyone's enjoying New Orleans. As Caroline always says, it's a big ask. So I just can't tell you from the bottom of our hearts, from my family, the Baders, how much the presence of each and every one of you here means the world to us. Clearly this weekend would not be the same without all of you. I also just want to mention how fortunate Danielle and Drew are to have multiple grandparents here tonight. Sheldon and Arlene, Yvette, Marilyn, Max, Diane, and I do want to say one word about Danielle's grandpa, Avi. We never got to meet Drew, but you would have thought the world of you, and that's for sure. Okay, so as many of you may have noticed, today has been a bit emotional. On the surface, I'm not surprised, but I really thought I'd be able to handle this a lot better. And the reason why is because I've had a long time to prepare for this. And I'm not talking about their 1.5 year engagement. There's no question I was the first person in this room to know, way before Danielle, way before Drew, that one day we would end up here. So how and when did I know that? We have to go all the way back to their junior year of college. Christmas break, Danielle is home with us. Come home from work, walk in the kitchen, TV's on in the background, Danielle, Caroline are talking. I walked in silence. They don't say a thing. Finally, Caroline says, Danielle wants to ask you a question. I say, go ahead, what? Drew wants to have dinner again. Now, at that point, I had met Drew twice. The first time was a couple of months before. Parents' weekend, we flew down to visit Danielle. She asked us if she could bring a friend to dinner, Drew. Of course, we said yes. We actually went to a restaurant just a couple of blocks from here, one of Emerald's restaurants. The only thing I remember about that meal, and that's only because Caroline has reminded me at least 100 times at this point, is what Drew ordered. Thick, creamy, saucy, alligator, gumbo type dish. I was trying to kick him under the table, to get his attention, tell him, you better not order that in front of me, she'll never let you live it down. How would it look? I'm eating it for the first time, and I'm telling him what to order for dinner. The second time was actually a couple of weeks before, and Drew came over one day over Thanksgiving break. So when Danielle asked me the question, I said, great, love to have dinner again. I want to get to know Drew better. I say, I'll make a reservation this weekend. Again, silence. Caroline finally says, you don't understand. What's not to understand? Danielle then says, with a little hesitancy, a little lower tone, he wants all of us to go. I say, who's all of us? Sam, I'm not sure what continent he was on at the time. He definitely wasn't North America, so he's not around. I say, who's all of us? Then Danielle, in a tone barely above a whisper, she says, he wants his parents to come. And I lost it. I say, Danielle, his parents, I barely know Drew. I met him twice. Now I have to meet his parents? Isn't that a bit premature? Aren't we getting a little ahead of ourselves here? With that, the floodgates open, the tears are pouring down her face. Caroline finally decides to come to her rescue. She says, what's the big deal? You meet new people. I say, Caroline, you know I don't like to meet new people. I work in a small dark room by myself. My patients, they don't talk to me. I'm good. Then she responds with one of her classic one-liners. One and done? She says it'll be a one and done, meaning we'll meet them once, we'll never see them again. I guess she wasn't so correct on that one. And finally she says, besides, what can Danielle say, that we don't want to meet his parents? I mean, how would that look? So I say, fine, I'll make a reservation for all of us Friday in the city. But I'm thinking, the Baders live in Long Island. There's no way they're driving into Manhattan, Christmas weekend, Friday night, in the dead of winter. It'll take them 4 hours to get there. But here's where I was wrong, because as we walked in, they were right on time. And I'm going to tell you what I remember about that dinner. And it wasn't what anyone ordered. What I remember, crystal clear, like it was yesterday. was the expression on Lori's face. Every time she spoke to Danielle, every time she looked at Danielle, you could tell, even at this early stage, and granted, Lori had met Danielle a couple more times than we met Drew, the love that she has for my daughter, it was so evident, it made such an impression on me, that I walked out of that restaurant and I said to myself that there's no way this woman is ever going to let anything get in between Danielle and at some point, I didn't know when, I didn't know where, but one day we would be celebrating their marriage. And that love has permeated throughout the entire Beta family. From Brian, through siblings, Jordan, David, their spouses, Heather, Ariel, and even little Maddie. To say that they've welcomed Danielle with open arms is a huge understatement. Danielle truly has a second family. Now, I do need to be honest. I'm not saying everything is perfect. Do I get a little jealous at times? The answer is yes. That's my issue. I'm working on it. But I seriously want to thank, from the bottom of our hearts, Caroline and myself, the love that you give Danielle, that you show her. It is so much appreciated. Okay, Drew. I have to talk about Drew. What can I say about Drew? I mean, certainly it's not a surprise the type of person he is, just based on his upbringing. Drew has so many positive attributes. I'll start with the obvious. He's a high-powered corporate attorney. Mergers and acquisitions, I'm not exactly sure what he has to do, something with contracts. But I do have to say, present company excluded, of course, lawyers were never my cup of tea. However, as long as Drew doesn't decide to switch careers and start suing doctors, I think we'll be okay. And it just brings up one other quick topic, that now that they're officially married, isn't it time we begin the process of migrating Danielle's monthly charges from my credit card to his? But in all seriousness, when I think of Drew, I just think of one thing, and that's how he treats my daughter. Drew places Danielle on a pedestal. He treats her like a queen. There's absolutely nothing he wouldn't do for her. As far as I can tell, Drew's goal in life is to make sure Danielle is happy, content, and that she has everything that she needs. I personally feel such a sense of security knowing that Danielle is with Drew. And as a parent, as a father, there's nothing more than I could ask for. I wish it was water, it's not. So I want to thank Drew for taking care of Danielle and doing everything that he does. Danielle. So within our family, now I think we're a close family, like most families, but the bottom line is Caroline and I are opposites. Sam and I are from different planets. But Danielle and I are really very similar. We're both very sensitive, emotional. Growing up, Danielle, like myself, was very quiet, shy, didn't really speak much. We both, to varying degrees, grown out of that phase. Well, there's no question Danielle's personality certainly surpasses mine many times over by now. But I just want to give you one quick example of the type of person Danielle is. So 5 years ago, I had an idea, and I wanted to ask Danielle a question. The problem was, if I had asked each and every one of you the same question, you'd all think I was crazy. And the question was this: would you run the New York City Marathon? And just by way of background, it wasn't completely crazy. When Danielle was starting high school, she graduated Solomon Schechter. We moved recently to a small town. She didn't know a soul. So a few weeks before, we sat down and we said, how is Danielle going to be able to make new friends? Caroline had an idea. She's going to join a sports team. Now, at that point in time, I never really thought of Danielle as an athlete, but small school, you wanted to be on the team, they would take you, no problem. So I say, fine, what's a good sport for Danielle? Caroline says she's going to join the track team. I say, track? Why track? She says, well, anyone with 2 legs can run. And if she happens to lose a few pounds along the way, even better. You did say. So Danielle was on the track team. She did great. We were very proud of her, but the fact is, no one loves long distance running, but when I asked Danielle that question, in 1 second she said yes. Danielle would never think to disappoint me, to let me down, and for the past 4 years, not 5, the first year the race was canceled, the last second due to COVID, the last 4 years we've run side by side every step of the way, with our hands together, held high in the air, crossing the finish line in Central Park. But the point is that as time has gone on, and I've gotten slower, and Danielle has gotten faster, not once has she said she wants to run this race at her own pace to see how fast that she could do it. Danielle would never think to leave me by her side, leave me alone. Her love, devotion, dedication to her family, her friends, all who know her. You are such a special person, the kindest, generous, thoughtful, the true definition of just pure sweetness. I cannot tell you how so very proud I am of you, of the type of individual you are, the young adult you've grown up to be. They say that dogs know best. No one loved you more than they did. Okay, so this brings us to finally the last part where the husband is supposed to thank the wife for planning a beautiful wedding. But actually on that one, I get a free pass. I don't have to do that. Because when Caroline first decided and heard that Drew and Danielle wanted their wedding in New Orleans, she quickly realized her dream of having this nice Jewish kosher wedding, that ain't happening. So she took this real passive-aggressive type attitude. The first, the aggressive part. She had 2 red lines not to be crossed. No pork and no bacon. I thought about it, consulted with Drew. We said fine. Then she became very passive. She went to Danielle and said, you want to have your wedding in New Orleans? That's fine, I'm out of it. Go plan it with Dad. We made a quick call to Elise and Ashley, the wedding planners. We were on our way. However, there are 2 things that I do need to thank you for. One, for being the most amazing wife. One that I probably don't deserve. And number 2, which is much more important than number 1, and both are much more important than planning a wedding. And anyone who knows Sam and Danielle will certainly attest to this, for being the most incredible mother to our 2 kids. And for that, I thank you and love you. Danielle and Drew, we want to wish you many, many years. Good health, most importantly, good health, happiness, success, and may all your dreams come true. We hope you remember this night, this weekend, and I know you will for the rest of your lives. We love you.
One more time, y'all make some noise for Mark, David, and Brian, and our lovely bride and groom. Okay, you guys, food stations are open in the courtyard room, but they'll be available for the next few hours, so you don't have to leave now. Stay on the dance floor for a little bit. Come dance with us.